I get on
Oh,
stage and
man.
I proceeded to bomb for 55 minutes.
What? Oh, wow. Really?
Yes.
You
You
had
got
an
it because
hour set?
at our set, you have to do your time at a college. That's how you get your bread. So I
Mm.
had to fill 55 to an hour. Well, they said they booked me for 50. You do an hour really.
Mm.
And I'm just like, the dude's just like, he garbage, he's trash. And they killing me. So I'm trying to roast the kids. And I said something about like Chicago, and it was like, I think I said something about like Chirac or something like that. And they were like, yo, you think it's Chirac out there? Oh, they started to like turn on me. And
Dang.
then one kid in the front, there's one kid in the front. He was just like, hey man, I like you.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. And I sat there and I did 45 minutes to his face. Only to him.
Welcome to the Identify Your Lane podcast, where we interview guests who have mastered their lane and we discuss how did they decide that this was the right path for them for the sole purpose of helping others identify their lane so they can actually go become masters of their lane. I am your host, Daniel Truelove Jr., and I'm excited to bring and interview another guest with you all tonight. This guy right here, a really good friend of mine, man. We go all the way back from HBCU days, my first days at Alabama State. It's a guy that I met out there. He's from California, man, and he's doing his thing out there in LA. And I'm excited to have this conversation with him just to talk about his journey, how he got to where he's at right now. And so, without further ado, I'm excited to interview my guest and bring to you none other than my main man, Keenan Baker. Keenan, how you doing, my guy?
Oh man. I'm doing great, brother. It's been a minute.
Man, it has been a minute, man. Man, how's life treating you out there, man?
Life is great, man. I can't complain about anything. I'm healthy, man. Uh, I'm happy. Healthy and
That's
happy, man.
Hey, that's two great things to have, man. Especially nowadays, man. Mental health
Yeah.
is real, so to be happy and healthy, you can't ask for nothing too much outside of that, man. So, man, I'm excited for you to be here. So, I want to start here, man. For those that may not have been introduced to who you are and what exactly is that you do, tell the people about who you are and what it is that you do.
This is always the weird part, man.
I know, right?
Keenan Baker, man. I'm a stand-up comedian. That's my bread and butter. I do online content also, but stand-up comedy is where I started about 12 years ago, and um, travel the world doing it, man. Travel the country doing it. It's just great to make people laugh. I love it.
Yeah, that's dope. So I want to start off here because this is the whole, and we're gonna get more into your story. But so when you hear this terminology, identify your lane, what exactly does that mean to you?
Um, I guess it just means to me like just figure out what you want to do. Like don't worry about what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Do what makes you happy.
Right.
And I guess that's I mean just to I guess condense it like yeah just to do what makes you happy. That's what I feel like it is.
Okay. All right. Dope. And so when people like you say you're a stand-up comedian, do you feel like comedy is your lane, or what would you say? What is your lane?
Right now I feel like stand up comedy is my lane, but I feel like oh man I feel like in the past like year or two I've been in this kind of like space where I want to it's stand up, but I also want to have a message in there too. But I don't
Okay.
want to leave out. But I don't want to lose the funny because I feel like I've seen some comics like they lose the funny and they just have a message and
Mm-hmm.
it's like at this point it's either a TED talk or just go do speeches. You know what I'm saying? It's not comedy anymore.
Right.
And
I feel you.
I want to keep the comedy in there. That's what's very important. So
Okay. And so like is it difficult to do that? Like I know that you craft your messages, right? I know there's probably a process that you go through in order to do that. How do you successfully manage those two things? Because like I guess it can't be too easy because if some people have difficulty doing that, then like is it difficult to do that to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish?
um I guess maybe it could be. I think it depends on the individual.
Okay.
I try to just be as honest as possible. So I try to, like, if I'm going through something, like I was in, I just finished therapy. I was in therapy for 2 years,
Oh wow.
and um, for me, I just try to. I'll deliver the message, but I just also, like, I know there's something funny in there too. There's
Mm-hmm.
normally something funny, always something funny, even in the darker
Facts.
times.
Facts.
So that's how I look at it.
Okay, all right, dope. So let's talk about this. You said you've been in stand up comedy, or you've been in this comedic realm for 12 years. Tell me about your journey of how did you discover that this was what you wanted to do? Like, did it come from a place where you're always the funny guy, or was it something that you kind of just like? How did you get into it? I guess I ask it that way.
Yeah, it started off, like class clown, kind of
Yeah.
type thing, and it stalled. I just, this is how it stalled. It would have been earlier, but Ricky, and Ricky,
Oh
Ricky
yeah,
went to
my
Alabama
yeah,
State with us.
yeah,
Ricky's our guy, so
yeah.
we used to get in trouble in class every day because we just kept talking. We cracked jokes and move him across class. We just keep
That
cracking jokes.
right.
And this teacher, she's a black teacher. She pulled us both out, and she dropped this message on us, and she just pretty much like, y'all need to do something better with your lives. Like, we don't always have to be funny and entertainers. That's
Mm,
not what black people are. We do many different things.
mm,
She had went to a pretty prestigious school out in L.A. And she wore that on her sleeve. She was very proud about that. And she felt like we
right.
should be in that realm with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was like, well, I don't want to be a comedian. I want to be a businessman.
Right, right.
And,
Okay.
and
Is
then
that why you ended up
Ricky,
going to college, or what was, or?
that was part of it, yeah. And then Ricky was like, that you mean an entrepreneur? Like, you don't even know the right terms. You just throwing things out there right now. And so that was kind of the reason. Like, I mean, I always had college in the back of my mind, but I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. And
Mm-hmm.
then I went to a JUCO first, junior college first, and then I transferred to Alabama State.
Mm-hmm.
And we had classes together. We was in there sometimes
Facts.
cutting up, man.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
So you know how it was. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of came from that.
Right. So I think that's really important what you just mentioned there, is because I think that a lot of times people don't really go into the realms of what they should be going in, or the lane that they should be going in, because of what other people say. Man, I was a class clown too, man. Like
Man.
I listen, my parents got called all the time with me. But like, it's like, man, and and like growing up, my aunt, like, man, she used to always tell me, like, man, like, you should go and like do stand-up comedy. But it was that element of like family and what other people thought that like sort of kept me away from just doing the things that like was natural for me. It's nothing for me to just like sit down and clown. Like, if you go to like a family gathering, a friend gathering, no matter what it is, I'm gonna be in the center of that thing cutting up, right? And that's something,
Right.
that's a gift that people have that not everybody possesses. And I think more people need to recognize that, yo, that's a gift that you have. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody can't do what you do, Kenan. So it's like, so you said that kind of stalled it out. So like, what was that stall out like for? Did you feel like, man, like, did you feel lost in that stall out? And how did you get back to what you knew that you should be doing?
Yeah, I didn't, because like when I got to college, like, I can't tell you how many times my major changed. Like, it
Oh man,
was physical therapy, occupational therapy, business management, marketing,
yeah.
accounting. I was terrible at math, but accounting.
Mm-hmm.
It was so many different things, and for a while, until I transferred back out here to California, I didn't know what I wanted to do still. And then a buddy of
Mm.
mine, he was doing stand up comedy. A buddy named Baleko Wisa. I just finished actually
Ah,
finished
yeah.
doing his show yesterday actually,
Mm-hmm.
and he started first,
Okay.
and I would just go watch him. Like, I would just go watch him at open mics, and I was just like, man, like, I want to get up there. I said, New Year's resolution. It was in December. I
Mm.
said, New Year's resolution. I'm gonna go up there. And I said, you know what? I don't follow any New Year's resolutions. Like, I don't
Right.
I don't follow through any of these.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm just gonna pay my $5 tomorrow, and because at some mics you pay $5 to get up,
Mm-hmm.
and I paid, and I went up that next day, and I was just like, this is what I'm doing,
Okay.
no matter what. Yeah.
It was that simple.
Because it felt right. Like, I went up
Mm.
there, and I actually in a meeting one of my mentors that night too. Well, I had met him before, but I wasn't doing comedy yet. And he was like, "You'll get on stage one day. Trust me." You go. He's like,
Mm.
you hear too much."
Right.
And then it was scary because your family doesn't understand this, because a lot of times when they look at it, it's like, yeah, you're funny, But it's like, especially in a black family, it's like we all funny, bro.
Right, exactly,
Like,
for real.
like what you mean? You think you can go on stage and do this for real? Like I'm
Right.
funnier than you.
Yeah.
So that's the energy a lot of times. So it's scary.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, I want to get back to that element because when it comes to identifying a lane, man, you talked about, like you said, do what makes you happy. But I think you got a little bit more depth to it when you said, like, man, it just felt right. And man, there's a lot of times to where something feels right for us, but yet there's still these barriers of entry to actually going forth with that. And so you got up there on stage. You said you paid your $5 to actually get up there, and you said it felt right. Like, what was it like after that? Because I want to sort of dive deeper in that, because there are some people out there that are have taken that first step and it felt right to them, but yet somehow after that first step they get lost in the weeds for whatever reason. So what did you do after that?
Well, for me, I think it was just looking at my life, right?
Okay.
I quit a lot of different things. Like
Mm.
literally, I think it was I forgot who did it, but either Ricky or my brother. They got me this shirt and it said I never finish anything, right? And
Dang.
the shirt at the end of anything, it didn't have a G because the G wasn't finished. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And it was supposed to be a funny shirt. So and it was, I wore it after I wore it as
Mm-hmm.
funny, but when you think about it, it's like, damn, it's kind of not. It's like,
Right.
is that how I'm seen by like my peers and my friends?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, the things I was good at growing up, making people laugh in basketball. I'm 5'9", barely. Basketball was, unless I was going to be Nate Robinson,
Right. Right.
this wasn't happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that was quickly out of there. So I was like, all right, I'm really good at making people laugh, especially growing up. That's all we did. It's like you said, we can get into a roasting session and get it.
Facts.
We'll go ham.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it was to me. It was like, what else am I good at? And I when I looked at it, I was like, this is it.
Right.
This is it. This is all.
Right.
This is all I got, bro.
That's dope. So
You know what I'm
so
saying?
what so all right, so because I know, like, in the stand up comedy realm, man, it's crazy, man. You can get you can have a great night, but then it's sometimes it depends on the crowd, right? So did you have any experiences to where, like, you went on stage and it was like did you ever have an experience to where you got on stage, maybe bombed it, and then you doubted whether or not this is what you should be doing, or like what was that like?
If you don't bomb and doubt your life, doubt even being alive,
Hmm.
you're not doing this right.
Got
And I
you.
know, yeah, it's a dark time. Like comedy can be very dark. So I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, do you want a bombing story? Is that what you tell you? That's what you want? You want me to tell like a
Yeah,
quick bombing story or
let,
something?
yeah, let's get into it. I actually want to hear it. Yeah.
I mean, I got a few, man. I got a
Okay.
few. Whew. Can I tell two?
Yeah. Sure, yeah. Do your
All
thing.
right. So one was early on. This is when I knew this is the true test. This was the
Okay.
true test if I'm going to really do this. This happened within my first 6 months of doing stand
Okay.
up. It's a long story, but I'll cut it short. This guy pretty much he wanted some comedians to pop in on a play. Like he had this play written, and he wanted us to do stand up in the middle of a play, like some bank robbery. We're going to be doing stand up, right?
Okay.
And so he said you got to dress up in suits, which I hate already. I'm not a suit guy. I hate wearing suits. And he said, come to the theater, and it's going to be a crowd there and all stuff like that. So I get there, and it's like 40 comedians, and it's like 300 people there, and there's no play.
What?
He goes, yeah, man. Quick change of plans. We're gonna do this Apollo style, brother. That's what we gonna do tonight.
What?
And I
Oh
was like,
wow.
I'm like, all right, I'm already in this over baggy suit here. So, uh, 5 or 6 comedians get on stage. They eat it. They bomb bad.
Mm.
Um, my boy Blake gets on stage. He rips.
Mm.
2 or 3 more comedians go up or so. They bomb again. I go on stage and I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, let's just do this. I go and I think I forgot what happened, but I said something about. I think this is when some of the killings kind of might have just started in the black community. Well, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not just started, but they started to come back up
Right.
in the media a lot. And I was like, yo, F the police, police, police. It just echoed in the theater. And I was like, oh. And when your first joke and your first thing don't hit, they don't get them on your
Oh,
side, it gets hot.
oh, it's down
So I was
here.
like, whoa, okay. So I went into my first joke about like the cops or whatever, and it bombed, and they started to boo me, bro.
For
Like
real.
boo. I've never been booed before at that time. booed. I never been booed since then. They booed me hard.
Dang.
And when I went back to what I normally do, which I grew up doing, which is roasting. So I
Right.
said, F it. I started roasting people in the crowd.
Right.
And I started getting them. I started ripping again. I was like, all right, cool. Back to my jokes. Bombed again.
Dang.
And the dude that set up the play, he's like, hey brother, hey, come on. He walked on stage and he just like he gracefully just pulled me off the stage. Like, come on, brother, your time is up. You're done.
No.
They don't want you here no more. And I was and this is when I knew I wanted to do this. Like I was sitting there and I was pissed. And I was like, I want revenge. That's what came to my mind. I was like, I want a stage. Wow. I gotta destroy. I try not to cuss. Yeah. I was like, I just want to destroy these more. Ooh, I want to just get on stage and just kill.
Right.
And definitely, I was like, this is what I want to do.
That was it. Defining moment.
Yeah.
What was the other one you said? You said it was 2.
Oh, so the other one, this happened like maybe a few years ago. I said like 2017, 2018. I was doing a college, and colleges, for the comedians that know, sometimes colleges can be pretty rough. They sometimes they don't want you to say certain things or whatever the case may be. This particular night was at this college. It was at this I think it's called, I don't want to say the name of the college, but it's like a white college. And so they're telling me, they're like, yeah, we're bringing you in. It's snowing. I never driven in the snow before. I had to drive hours in the snow, so I'm already nervous getting there. I get there, I walk in. It's all black students. So what they did was, it's a white college, but they brought in these black kids from Chicago because they're trying to convince them to come to the school. So they got bussed out there to this school in New York. It was a school in New York. Okay. And I get there, and when I say these are young black kids, they're like 15, 16, and this is the world star hip hop era. You know, they don't care about stand-up comedy. I get on stage and I proceeded to bomb for 55 minutes.
What? Oh, wow. Really?
Yes.
You got an hour set?
At an hour set. You have to do your time at a college. That's how you get your bread. So I had to fill 55 to an hour. Well, they said they booked me for 50. You do an hour, really. And I'm just like, the dude's just like, he garbage, he's trash. And they killing me. So I'm trying to roast the kids. And I said something about like Chicago, and it was like, I think I said something about like Chirac or something like that. And they were like, yo, you think it's Chirac out there? Oh, they started to like turn on me. Dang. And then there's one kid in the front. He was just like, hey man, I like you.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. And I sat there and I did 45 minutes to his face. Only to him. I did the rest of my set. You gotta
drown everybody on the side. Like, I'm talking to you.
I blacked them all out. I did 45 minutes to one 15, 16-year-old. I was like, wow. Something. I was asking them questions. Man, and I had to take that long drive home. Drive back to the hotel, flight delayed. It was like this. It was the worst time. I was like, man, when I sat there, I was like, I said 45 to 55 minutes of bombing. I was like, is this really for me? Is this really? I'm at this point in my career. I'm not making the money I want to make. I haven't got all the opportunities that I wanted. I'm not where I want to be in my career. Is this for me? Wow. And that plane ride, that show, and I feel like I was already pretty humble. I was never this like arrogant, cocky comedian, but it humbled me even more. And that plane ride back home was just like, I had to do a lot of soul searching and thinking and being like, all right, this is still what I want to do. Maybe not colleges, because college, like I said, I cuss. I'm not a clean comedian, and I don't want to be a clean comedian. So, I was just like, I want to do shows that I want to do. Right. And that's it. That I could be myself on. That's how I felt.
So one thing that I took away from that is like, there's a lane even inside your lane. You see what I'm saying? There, like you were talking about, like, man, like maybe college is in your realm. And I think that's, man, you, first of all, you said a lot of things there that I think that are super important. The one was like, you wanted revenge, right? For that first set that bombed. And I think that, like, if you are really into something, no matter if you do a bad job at it or it doesn't go the way that you desire for it to be, like the way you respond to whatever that is can be a defining moment if that's something that you should be doing. Let's say, for example, you mentioned sports earlier. Like if you actually go out there and let's say you bomb it and you championship game, you go out there and you're like, oh man, I don't care about that. maybe that ain't for you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like the
Right.
way in which you respond to it when it means something to you when you don't do the job that you're supposed to do. I think that could be another thing. But when you said you wanted revenge, that was a defining moment. But then that element of the next show, and you were like, man, you were in your career, and you were like, man, like, is this you weren't doing everything that you wanted to be doing, but you said, man, I just got to find out the room that I'm supposed to be in within this. So tell me a little bit about after, like, did you ever locate the right rooms, or how did you go about finding that community that was right for you, where you could do the comedy that like that resonated with the people and you could be yourself?
Yeah, I feel like in general, colleges just aren't my lane, and a lot of comedians will tell you that. A lot of comedians don't like doing college because right now the way everything's going, everything's very PC. It's
Mm-hmm.
very cancel cultural type. So if you say one wrong word, you talk about
Mm-hmm.
like if you say something about like dating, and then you say something about women, you could be turned on, and it's a wrap for you.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I want to be able to perform where they're just like, yo, man, like even if I don't like whether it's comedy clubs, bar. I still do them all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I'm not jumping to do a college anymore. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? If my college agent calls me and is like, yo, they got some pretty good money for you, I probably go do it. But I'm probably gonna also tell them like, yo, I'm gonna do what I want to do up there.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like that's just gonna be what it is.
Right.
But like you said, there is a lane. There's clean comedy. There is dark comedy. There's people do churches. People
Mm-hmm.
do cruise ships. There's cruise ship comedy. Like there are different styles. Some people perform for children. I know a dude. He literally he performed for children. Like that's what he
Mm.
does.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna be able to perform for 6-year-olds. That my act is not tailored towards that. They're not gonna
Not
get
at
any of my
all.
references when it comes to, you know, whatever I'm talking about relationships and stuff like that, or my dad. And like, them like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. It just ain't gonna land.
So it ain't gonna land the same. So I'm out. I'm just trying to be out there, pretty much in all types of clubs and spaces where there's adults. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. So all right, so you found your like, so what how did you find that? Like did you all right, so you got back, yeah, plane ride, you boom, you make it back to you live in LA, right? Or you live in some part of California, right?
Yeah, it's LA County, so like in the valley. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about that afterwards. Like did you book another show? Like what was how did you find that okay, man, my space is clubs. My space is like how did you discover that was your space? Like what was that process like for you?
I just went back home and I just started like just booking gigs everywhere again. Like
Okay.
whether it was at a comedy club, whether it was at a bar, whether it was at a coffee shop. Like in LA, all the spots they're just different. You could be doing a spot in somebody's living room. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? It's
wow.
like I do living room, I do backyards, I do balconies. I did a balcony a few weeks ago. So
Oh, that's dope.
yeah, it's like it's not necessarily when I say the lane, it's more like just doing stand up and being free.
Mm,
That's what I
okay.
mean. It's like being free to where there's like no limits in the sense of like, all right, you can't say this, and this.
Mm,
Go on
yeah.
stage. I'm like, I don't care to do those type of rooms because it's like to me that's not stand up. It's like
Mm,
stand up is being free. I'm not here to purposely offend anybody, but I know people. I know I have a chance to offend somebody by the things that I might say, but
gotcha.
nothing's in. I'm not doing anything like to be evil, and it's never to be like this to try to hurt someone.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So like was there when you started booking those gigs, was there a show, was there like a moment in time and where you were like, okay, this is it? And if so, will you elaborate about what that was that allowed you to know that like, man, I found my space to where I can truly be free?
I can't. I don't necessarily know I can pinpoint the moment, but just just getting back within that next. I'll probably say the next few months. I was just getting on stage, and I was just like, I was just saying what I wanted to say.
Mm,
Because a lot of times, sometimes not a lot of times, but sometimes as comedians, we might um, try to say what we think the crowd thinks is funny.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know at that show, that's what I was trying to do with these kids would think was funny. I was trying to write young references. I was trying to figure young references when I was at that college. And I was just like, bro, like I don't watch what they watch right now.
Yeah.
So let me just go on stage, be free. I'm more of a storyteller too. I tell like a lot of stories.
Okay.
Um, so I was just like, that's my lane in a sense. I do a lot of relationship stuff. I do storytelling. I do personal stuff. I do some observational, but that's when it comes down to the message, is telling these stories and letting people know like things that I've been through, and that you can make it
Right.
through anything you go through. Like, you're not the only one that's been through something crazy.
Right. That's dope. So tell me a little bit about like tell me a little bit about your career, because I know obviously some of the things, like I know that you released what was the joint that you had, because I remember I downloaded the therapy one. What was it
Oh, I
called?
might need therapy. I might
Yeah,
need
I
therapy.
might
Yeah.
need therapy. So you did that, but you've done a lot more than just that. So tell the people that have not been introduced to you. Tell us about like your experience, the things that you've done over the years.
Yeah. I mean, I was able to do a few sketch shows, TV shows. I did some stuff on Laugh Mob, Laugh Tracks. I did some stand up on a show called Laughs. I think it's on Hulu still.
Oh, that's dope.
Um,
I didn't know about
uh,
that.
yeah, it was a while ago too. 2019 or 2019, 2020. We shot in 2019. 2020, we shot Tony Baker and Friends, the comedy special,
Oh yeah,
and I did that, and that's on Amazon Prime.
yeah.
Um, KevOnStage had a Keep Your Distance show that I did, and it's like logged
Yeah, I
into,
saw that one. Yeah, that was dope.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's logged into his. If you go to the KevOnStage app,
Mm-hmm.
clips of the stand up is on there. So
So I just want to stop you right there. You're just glossing over some big names right here. I did Tony Baker. I did KevOnStage. That's like, I mean, for anybody that's in the stand up realm, or just like that enjoys like good laughs, you probably have been introduced to these people. Some Tony Baker, he does the voiceovers all the time, but and KevOnStage, I guess he's more so like, I won't say church, but he has that community that follows him a lot of times. And so, how did you get introduced to them? What was that like? Was it just going up on stage and they were there? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, with Tony, I saw Tony early on. Like, Tony's probably he's like a year older than me in stand up. So not in age,
Oh,
but in
okay.
like stand up age, he's probably started like a year before I did.
Okay.
And I would just see him at open mics, but Tony hit the ground running. Like,
Mm,
he was a monster out the gate from when I saw him.
okay.
So it really was one of those things, like, you just bond with who you bond with. Like, and
Yeah.
sometimes people be like, man, y'all got crews, or
Mm,
yeah, why can't we be a part of your crew? It's like, it's
yeah.
not about a crew thing. It's like, Tony and I were speaking. We had the same interest in music, sports, life, a lot of different
Mm,
things. And we was just like, hey man, you cool. Hey, you
yeah.
cool too. Hey,
Right.
all
Right.
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 And
Yeah.
so I'll meet him at spots here and there. And then he was cool with it. I wasn't annoying him. He wasn't annoying me. And then
Yeah.
we tightened up.
Right.
As for Kev, I believe I met Kev. Kev was doing all that digital, so every once in a while I would go up there, and it was just in passing. But Tony, I would say Tony kind of like lobbed that up for me. It was just like, yo,
Okay. That's
Keenan's one
dope.
of my guys, and he's a good dude. He's a funny dude. And then
Mm-hmm.
he'll see me in passing, and then he'll just Kev would just give me some opportunities here and there, which is, he didn't have to. It was super dope.
Yeah. So, speaking of the Tony thing, you have this segment that you, Tony. I don't know if you're still doing it. It's like conspiracy theorist type of segment, like when y'all in the tent, and y'all tell me a little bit about, like, how did y'all come up with that whole little idea, or what was that all about?
Yeah, so the studio that shot like all the specials for Tony, and that did Cavs Keep Your Distance,
Yeah.
a while, like, I was connected with them because they did the I Might Need Therapy, and
Oh,
the
okay,
guy,
okay.
one of the owners of the studio, and he does most of like their filming and directing. Him and his lady, like me, him and his lady, we would all talk about conspiracies,
Oh,
and so we just talk about just like weird stuff. Man, something just seemed off, and he was like, man, I think we should do a show about that. And sometimes we'll be talking to Tony, and Tony would be like, nah, that don't sound, I don't believe in that. And so we was like, that's a great aspect to have. It's like, I'm
right.
going to
The
be going,
opposite.
right. And so
Yeah.
for me, it was me playing the character up and going all the way left. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Because I'm not, some of the stuff I'll be like, all right, like, I believe in it, but I don't be that gun ho about it. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Right. Right.
But that was, that's part of just the character, and then bringing Tony in. But we actually, we had stopped doing it because everybody got kind of busy. But we're bringing it back as a podcast, so it should
Okay, that's
be.
dope.
Yeah, we actually talked about it a few days ago. We should be getting that up soon, hopefully in the next month or two. And then Tony will probably pop on here and there because he's super busy. But
Right.
me and there's a girl named Mai who is who does a homie of our Tahir show. Wording is hard. She's like the school
You were on
teacher.
that joint. I saw you on YouTube on that joint.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that joint, that show is hilarious. Because some of those words I was like, don't know what the definition. Because it's the
Man.
word, it's the definition, and there's another one. What is it? What is it that you have to know? It's three things, right?
Yeah, I think you have to like so you have to know you have to guess what it is because you have to read a sentence
Right.
and see
Yeah,
like so you have to see what it is. It's used in a sentence. You have to see what it actually what does that mean in that sentence. And I think I forgot what the third part is, but yeah, it's like Tahir the genius for that. But like the girl that
yeah.
plays the school teacher in there, she was the one that's my friend's like lady. So she was always the one helping me come up with the conspiracies anyways. So it just
Okay,
makes sense for her to now us do the show together,
that's dope.
and just to bounce back and forth off things. And I feel like she might be deeper into that world than I am anyway. So it's
Hmm.
gonna be still a great bounce off, you know.
That's dope. So is it? It sounds like when it comes to, is there such thing as like a comedic community? Like, do y'all create within community, come up with ideas within community? Like, is there like a lot of collaboration? Because like, if somebody is on the outside looking in, you don't really know about what takes place behind the scenes. So like, it seems like there's been a lot of collaboration that has led to some of the opportunities and the things that you've done that are super dope and super big things. Like, what is the collaboration like within the comedic community?
I think it just depends. Like for the opportunities that I got, I would say a lot of things came from networking and
Mm-hmm.
just being like cool and people just liking who you are.
Okay.
And so when they kind of fill out your personality, they can go like, "Hey, we can probably kind of build around this."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like the conspiracy thing came from that. It was like literally I was kicking it at their house and we would just talk conspiracies, and it was like this would be a cool concept. Boom. Then it
Mm.
was like we went on there and got a show, and then so I would say it's more like networking. I can't sit there and say we don't really sit down and at least for my particular circle, we don't sit down and be like, all right, today's Tuesday, let's come up with 10 different ideas to create for each
Mm.
other. It's like
Yeah.
literally whatever you like, you do. And then, a lot of times we just share our stuff organically. Like
Mm-hmm.
none of us is like, we don't ever sit there and send each other a post and be like, yo, post this. It's really just like,
Mm.
I thought this was funny, man. And then
Right.
just we'll grab it and we'll post it because we thought it was super, super funny to us.
Man, man, this has been good, man. I'm excited about this because you said something that I think that I think is big, and I want to highlight it. You said, man, we sat there, we had an idea, and we went with it. You know
Mhm.
how many people that sit there, whether they be with friends, and they have a good idea, and then like nothing comes of it. And the fact that y'all like said that, man, this is a dope idea, and y'all executed on there, I think we see what comes of it because of the execution. I think a lot of times some individuals may not be exactly where they're at, not because they haven't come up with dope ideas with dope people. It's like it can be like an execution thing. Do you agree or do you disagree with that? What are your thoughts on that?
Bro, so let me tell you, man, like execution is key.
Mm.
For me, that's where I struggled for
Really?
years.
Oh, for
Man,
years. Okay, you struggle. Okay, got you.
for years, bro. Like it was really those guys. It was really like somebody like some of those things when I came to fruition. If
Mm-hmm.
those guys had a studio. They had like a small studio going, and it was like for the conspiracy theories. They kind of pushed it more. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's do it. But they was just like, all right, Tuesday, be here. We got conspiracies for you.
Mm.
So for me, I'm the type of person once I commit to you, I don't decommit to you. I go hard,
Right. Mm-hmm.
right? So it kind of forced me to execute. And then somebody like Tony, to be honest with you, and this is why I'll give him his props. This guy's like my brother. He was on me. Like he'll be texting me in the group text or on the side. Yo, man, you are inconsistent, bro. You
Really?
would do something that's dope and then you'll stop. Oh yeah, there's no
Mm.
we don't hold punches in a group text or in
Mm.
person. We're very tight friends and we'll cuss you out. We'll go off on you. That's what
Mm.
you kind of need, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it was like he got on me super hard all the time. You know what I'm saying, about executing and doing different things and being consistent. And that was one of my biggest weaknesses.
Mm.
So don't it's like when you execute, don't worry about losing. You have to lose.
Mm.
You have to take L's. It's like
Right.
what team goes undefeated?
No.
None.
Right.
None. You're gonna take a L. Everybody has a bad game. It builds character.
Right.
And it took me a long time to even realize that. It's like, oh, L's just build character. It's not like you actually
Mm.
lost a piece of your life. It's just like,
Right.
okay, now I know what not to do, or
Right.
now I got to do that better. That's
Right.
all it is. So yeah.
So what have you seen? Like, what has been the after you? So he came like boom, he called you out, right? Like, did you take it as like, did you take it for what it was, right? Did you like, I man, you're right, and then you just like started like changing after that, or because the reason why I want to ask that question is because I think that I want to talk about what has come on the other side of your execution. Like, what have you been able to accomplish because of that? I won't even call it confrontation. It was just like a real moment to where like he obviously believed in you as a person and knew the potential that you had, recognized the dope stuff you did, and he wanted better for you. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. He wanted the best for Keenan, and he wanted to pull that thing out of you. How did you take that conversation, and what has been the fruit on the other side of that?
Well, I would say this. He said it, but it goes back to what I said earlier. We talked about earlier about the shirt. I
Mm,
never finished anything. It goes back to that. It goes back to me never executing and finishing anything there. It goes back to getting with the woman that I'm with now, that I live with now, and her believing in me too. But she's real about it also. She was like,
mm,
you need to you're not you start something and you don't finish it.
mm.
And it was funny. I don't know. I remember I asked both of them, and I was like, "Are y'all talking to each other on the side about me?" Because it was literally at the same within the
Right.
same like few days,
Mm.
they was hitting me like I was just getting bombed on, bro.
Uppercuts. Pow.
Yeah, I was just like I couldn't block nothing. I was like, "Stop! Help!" But I had to sit there, but I didn't get mad at either one of them because
Okay.
I know like it came from a place of love. So I sat back and I was
Mm.
just like, all right, this has been a thing since pretty much I graduated high school.
Right.
Um, why do I have this problem? You know what I'm saying? I had to go through that. Like, why do I have this issue? And how do I get past this? And how do I start? Like, how do I start first? Just do one thing
Mm.
first, and then set a schedule. She was big on like, yo, write your schedule out. And I still don't do it as much as I should. But
Mm.
at least I'm way more consistent. And
Right.
consistency, I say the fruits that I got from it is just like opportunities. You know, people
Mm.
see that. People come up to
Right.
you and they wanna work with you, or they'll be like, because they know you get work done. Now when they see how much work you can get done, they go, oh, this guy, I can work with him.
Yeah.
I know he shows up and he's going to get the job done. You know,
Yeah.
I'm reliable now. They can see
Right.
that. There's proof.
Got you. Well, let me ask you: is like what you do, man? Like you talked about, these people are going to present opportunities to you, right? Like there's going to probably be things that, and I see the high level that you have come because of your focus and because now you execute and you are committed and those things like that. Like, how do you eliminate the opportunities that are described? How do you eliminate distractions that are disguised as opportunities? Like, do you think that exists? Like, in order, because you, let me clarify a little bit. Like, you hear this terminology that says, you know what, hey, you should stay in your lane, stay in your lane, right? Stay in your lane. But I think a lot of times we don't often stay in our lane because we don't know what our lane is. And you mentioned it earlier, like my major, switch, it was occupational therapy, physical therapy, accounting, and all these different things, right? So how do you eliminate the distractions that may come your way disguised as opportunities because you know that this is the lane that you're supposed to be in?
Hmm, it's a good question. It's to me that's kind of it's kind of hard because I don't want to ever tell somebody to not also do other things. Like,
Oh, okay.
and and what we do, you kind of have to. We do stand up, but then a lot of us are also actors and we're also writers.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Stand up is like my baby. That's what I
okay.
love. Like
Mm,
that's what I need.
mm,
But I also act because I also know acting
that's
can
powerful.
change the game for me immediately. Like once I
Mm,
get the right role, my life can change that next day. You know what I'm
mm,
saying?
right.
Or a writing gig could put a check in my pocket where I can a few writing checks. You know, I can end up buying a house.
Oh,
You know what I'm
wow.
saying? It's like because you're getting $30,000, $40,000, $20,000 to write something. So it's like
Really?
you. It depends. Which it depends. If you're writing an episode or something, it depends. Yeah, you can get a lot of money.
I didn't know that. Oh,
So
wow. That makes sense, though.
yeah, voice acting, and so I do all that stuff.
Mm,
Commercial acting. So it's like I get all those opportunities, but I know if anything is ever making me sacrifice my baby, which is stand up,
Right.
that's when I'm like, now somebody's like, well, if you do this, you can no longer do stand up. Hey, that sounds like that's not for me, my brother. That's what that sounds like. So that's the thing for me. Like I said, stand up's my bread. Stand up's where I get to be free. Stand up's where I get to say whatever I want to say. Acting, I have to be somebody else. I get directions from everything else. I get directions for it. Do it like this, write like this. They need you to write this particular episode like this. Stand up comedy, I talk the way I speak the way I want to speak, say what I want to say, talk about what I talk about, and I'm confident that I'm going to make you laugh and understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's the freedom that I want. I want freedom, and as much freedom as I can, because you're not going to have all the freedom that you want, despite what people might say. You don't, in this industry, you're not going to get all the freedom that you want.
Man, this has been dope, man. I'm so glad we did this. Oh man, like because man, it's so many gems, man. My wife and I, man, we went to when we were putting our home studio together, man. One of the things that we bought with these words that say freedom, and like it's in here in our studio because man, freedom is important, man. And I think that a lot of people aren't free, but yet we don't know that we're not free. So we have certain elements that may be free, but to actually be truly free, and the fact that you said that, like, you're not willing to basically sacrifice your baby with your stand-up comedy because, like, that's where you're most free. I think that conviction is something that more people need to have, because some people would be like, I do that because I know if that gets, I know I love doing this, but man, if I could do that and the money and this and that, it's like, no, man, if it is not going to give you the true freedom, like, there has to be a commitment to, like, to what matters most to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's super dope that you said that. And so, so let's go into this, because I want to sort of segue into another element, because part of what we want to do on this platform is to talk about this whole conversation to help others. So the question I have for you is that, why do you think so many people struggle to find their lane?
I think it's a lot of different things. It's society's influence, family. Family's probably big.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're being told, go to school, go to college. Some people are told to, we want you to be a doctor. You should be a doctor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Be an engineer. Fear, bro, like, just fear of failing. Like, that's a big one. I think a lot of people, they don't jump into certain things because they're told early on. It's like, bro, how you gonna be to do that, man? And really what they're doing is they're saying that they can't do it. So they're projecting their fear upon you. And a lot of times it works. You know what I'm saying? In stand-up, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. It's like with family, it's like some of my family, they was like, oh, Kenny gonna do his comedy thing. But I don't necessarily, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I think they believed in me fully at first.
Okay.
I think the belief started coming in when they started to see me in certain things, and they started to see a lot of times, in a lot of cases, your family is like sometimes the last to come on.
That's like, very true. Yeah.
Yeah. What I've seen a lot is where somebody that doesn't know you shows something to somebody that's close to you. So if they see a video of me and they be like, "Yo, did you see this guy?" And they be like, "That's my nephew. That's my son. What do you?" And that person's already a fan of you. Now it's like, oh, this is real. He reached somebody that became a fan that doesn't know, that's not connected to him, support him because they're blood. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that's how I kind of look at how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think that's important, man. And so, let me ask you this. And so, do you feel like it's important for people to find their lane? Do you feel like that's, like, necessary for an individual's lives, or what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, man. Because a lot of times that's your happiness. A lot of people are very unhappy. What they just say, most dreams are found like at the graveside. It's some saying like that, where it's like most people, you know what I mean? And it's like I took time. I would say I had to go on like a journey, like a spiritual type of journey, in a sense, where I had to find myself,
right?
And to find out what I really wanted to do, and this is really what I want to do with my life. It's like it's not about making other people happy anymore. It's not about like trying to make other people look good because they want to see me with a degree. It's like, that's not what I do. You know what I'm saying? Just see me with 3 or 4 degrees. So for me, it was like, I think for everybody, at least attempt your passion.
Okay.
I know some people say, well, I got a family. It's like, bro, you don't have to put 40 hours a week into your passion when you got 3 kids and a wife and a family to take care of.
Right.
See whatever your passion is, take an hour or two a day, as much time as you can a day, instead of taking a nap, instead of like doing something, playing a video game, or playing video games is that. You can get paid off that now too.
Facts.
It's like
For real.
it's like take that time, take at least some time to do that.
Right.
And you'll understand, especially when we get older. A lot of times you're gonna probably be good at something quicker because as an older person you just had more experience in doing stuff.
Right. That's true.
So you can eliminate the BS and be like, all right, I gotta just do this like this, and then you good.
Yeah. Speaking of passion, man, I've followed your journey, and I know one of the things that you're passionate about is anime. Right, so you, man, you even have a podcast called the animation, or how do you say it?
Animation.
Animation podcast. So, is passion a prerequisite for you for the things that you do now? Would you say that, or how would you sort of describe that?
A prerequisite. I don't know. I guess I wasn't looking at it like that. I just like something that I really enjoy doing. I don't necessarily think it needs to be a passion.
Okay.
It's like I do love anime, but I can't sit there and say I'm as passionate as some real anime fans. Some people live and die it. They cosplay it. They can say all the names correctly. I can't say none of these names correctly like that.
Man. Those cosplay people are like for real, man. Like there was this what's the big conference? The big what is it?
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con, that's it. So they had something like that in Arizona, which is where I used to live. And man, I was just like, yo, like these people really like dress up as like these, like it's like a multi-day event to where they all in character. And I was like, I've never seen anything like that before in my life. But it's like people get when it's in this anime realm, people are like legit serious about this, like for real. It's not. They're
spending like hundreds to thousands of dollars on their cosplay. I went to a San Diego one year, bro, and that's like considered like the mecca of the Comic Cons, and that mess was overwhelming, bro. Like I was in there, I got anxiety. I was just like, because I went on a whim. Like I had somebody that I knew at the time, and they ended up getting me a pass, and I wasn't even supposed to go. So I said, let me just drive down there and check it out. And I was in there like, oh my gosh, this is crazy right now. This is a lot's going on.
Yeah.
So, I think when it's going to your actual dream, what you really love, I think there needs to be a passion in there.
Okay.
But you might do other things like I do. I got other podcasts that I want to do, and I might not necessarily be like, full on passionate about it.
Right.
But I probably like the conspiracy when I'm not gonna be. It's not my full on passion, but I'm gonna really enjoy doing that. And I'm gonna take the time. I'm gonna make sure it's good and funny and the best. But like it goes back. Comedy is the passion.
Man, I'm glad you said that, man, because I think that was even liberating for me because, man, like I have conversations in time to where, man, I've had what I think are really, really dope ideas, but even from that execution piece that you mentioned earlier, like I don't execute on it. And I think that one of the things that I've been kind of married to that I should actually divorce in this moment is that like I have these like criteria to where I feel like, man, like whatever I do, it has to be something that I can commit to for a certain period of time, or that I don't feel like it's valuable for me to do it. I feel like I have to be passionate about it. If I'm not necessarily passionate about it, should I be doing those things? Man, I keep it's this head game that I play with myself at times about what I should do. But like when I heard you say that, it's like, man, it's like some things that I do is like I'm not necessarily married to this. You know what I'm saying? But it's just something that I enjoy doing. And what Identify Your Lane for me is the reason why I decided to even move forward with this. It's because, man, it was that conversation that I had with myself about, man, what is it that I should be doing? And many times I had ideas and I was like, man, okay, is this it? Is that it? With my clothing line or with, this business or with this idea. And man, it caused this headspace, man, where I was like, man, what is it that I should really be doing with my life? And that's where this was birthed of. It was, man, I just want to interview people and just help other people that have questions about the same thing to where they can actually get resources. And that's kind of why I moved forward with this because it was a problem, because one of the most sold books in the world is The Purpose Driven Life. So there's millions of people that are trying to answer this question, like, what the heck am I supposed to be doing? And since it was a question that I had with my life as well, like I wanted to like create a space for it. But I think when you said that, man, I think it allowed me to even have freedom to say, man, like just go and be. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, man, just be free,
Yeah.
and freedom to create, freedom to actually start, and freedom to stop if you don't want to do it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like you can
Yep.
start something, you could stop something because hey, you know what? This ain't it for me right now. But I mean, I'm grateful that you said that, because in that moment I was like, man, I can go and do more than what I have been doing, because I felt like there was a marriage that was necessary in order for me to do it. When I can actually just I can date some ideas, you know, like
That's that's a great way to say it. Like I guess I'll give you an example of how that started with how how something you can start can birth your actual passion or actually what you want to do,
okay,
right? From what you were just saying, it's like I started off, me and Ricky started off doing comedy rap. So at Alabama
mm.
State, I don't know if you knew, we were like producing songs. We had
I
I had
didn't know
we were
that.
making we were yeah we were making beats in there.
Mm.
We did 2 mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? Of like
What?
just yeah of like comedy rap. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
We had a
wow,
MySpace page. We was popping on MySpace, everything,
that's
and
dope.
that that led to stand up comedy somewhat. You know what I'm saying? Because we
Mm-hmm.
were always in the comedy realm, that's when I knew too. It's like, all right, I probably don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to do like comedy rap for the rest of my life.
Mm.
But I know I want to do something in comedy, and that was the thing. I didn't know how to get started in stand up. So when I saw my friend doing it, I was like, I didn't know you just go to a a place like this and you can either pay $5 or you can just sign up at a mic, because some of them were free at the time, and it's like you just sign up and you just go on stage and you just talk for 5 minutes. I didn't even know that was how you did it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I would say that that idea birthed this idea, and and here's the thing: you can also go back to that old idea. I can always go back and do songs because
Mm-hmm.
I still have that in me to. If I wanted to do a comedy rap song, I can
Right.
still go and write one. It'd be for me. I feel like it'd be pretty simple.
Right.
So, like you said, it's like yeah, you could date these ideas, and then some you might take more serious,
Right.
and some of you might just you might just kick it with that idea again.
Right,
You know what
right,
I'm
right,
saying?
right. Facts. I mean, I think that, and that's the reason. That's another reason why I'm excited about this platform, is because, man, like for some people, they think that in order to get into what they want to do, it's difficult. But like with you, just like expose them, man, like yo, you just pay $5, and like, and some people that are around there, they may not be in LA, they may be in some country city, and they just don't maybe have opportunity, but they didn't know that, man, like this, man, if I want to do this, you mean I could just go pay $5, get up there on stage and just tell stories and actually tell jokes. Like, yeah, it's really that simple. So that was another reason why I wanted to do this, because for those individuals that desire to get into a lane, I wanted there to be a blueprint. I wanted there to be information so that they could actually have some breadcrumbs. So if this is something that they want to do, they now have a little bit of a play, or even can reach out to somebody like Keenan, you know what I'm saying, to actually find out
Mm-hmm.
more details about that. And so, man, that's going to bring me to this next question I have, man, is like, well, how important do you feel like it is to sort of like be a bridge for others when it comes to comedy? I have this concept that in life, I think it's important for us to go and be the bridge. And what I mean by that is that we may have faced an adversity, or we may had to overcome something, and now we're on the other side of that bridge. But we can now reach back, right, and help others now not have such a difficult time getting to the same places that we are. Like, do you feel like that's something that you have done, or what do you feel like is your concept, or your process, or do you do anything when it comes to helping others now realize that, man, the gateway isn't as tall, it's not as hard, it's not as difficult as you may think, man. It's actually just this.
Well, it is tough to stand up. It definitely is.
Okay, okay,
When
okay,
I was
okay, okay.
well, I was saying to get started is different, but like to make it in this game, I'm always an open book. When anybody's like wants to ask me, young comic or whatever the case may be, like I'm still a young comic myself, but
Mm,
like I guess somebody else within year 1 to 3 or whatever, right?
right.
My thing is like funny is not number one
Mm,
in this industry. It's not. It's like I
okay.
was there's a few things over funny. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what we get caught up when we first started doing stand-up. It's like, yo, I'm gonna be the funniest guy out here. And you're like, man,
Right.
you get to like year 4 or 5, you're like, yo, I'm not getting any opportunities, and I'm way better than these guys. It's not about that. It's about networking. It's about being cool with people. It's about being friendly. You know, some people like, well, I gotta be friends. That's being fake. It's like, no, I'm not fake to anybody. I'm very natural to everybody. I'm very honest with everybody. It's just that I guess maybe, I don't want to say I'm a naturally cool person. I'm just honest. Like, if I don't like something, I kind of like give that feeling of it. But I think that's part of it. It's like I'm always an open book to be. That's why I feel like that's what the bridge is. It's like when a comic asks me any type of questions, any advice that I have, I would try to give it to them. Like, get on stage as much as possible. Like, that's the number one rule. It's like, all right, how do I get funny? It's like, just get on stage as much as possible. But understand that funny is not number one. I understand that's how it should be. It should be number one. But if you're not getting booked and you're the funniest person, figure out other ways, like network, talk to people, you know what I'm saying? Talk to the booker, or, you know what I'm saying? Anybody, like you talking about, just to go back what you said to earlier, if you're in a small town, right? Go to where there's most bars in most small towns. Go to that bar and be like, hey man, is it cool if I set up a microphone? They might have a little karaoke in there. Is it cool if I just do that? And can I run like a little comedy show here? I want to do like 10, 15 minutes, or like I want to do an hour, and I want to bring in like 3 or 4 of my friends. We're gonna just do like a routine in here, whatever the case may be. And some of those places will, they probably got a free night in there. They ain't gonna lose no money because people gonna still be drinking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Facts.
So there's always ways to get your point across, and then also too, the internet is king right now.
Facts.
So even if you're not doing stand-up, you can still be funny online and get the job done.
Right. That's very true, man, because you got a couple different segments, man. Like, you got your Bernard Push-Up Williams. You got Bernard. You got your most recent one was Aunt Bay. Aunt Bay, keep your foot on these women's necks. I think you're on volume 7 or 8. I don't know if you're at 8 yet, but I think the last one I saw was volume 7. And that whole shit, that joint is hilarious, bro, man. But yeah, man, I think that like you said, the internet is king, man, and you've been doing your thing on the internet, man. And so I guess I want to reserve this space right here. Was like, man, what's next? What's next for Keenan Baker?
So what's next? Going back on tour with Tony Baker. We got a date here next week, actually. I think this week coming up.
Oh, we back outside now, huh? We back outside.
Oh yeah, yeah. So where you at right now? You not in Arizona no more?
No, I'm in Alabama, man. I moved back here. Yeah.
Oh damn, because I actually had some shows in Arizona coming up in September.
Yeah.
So yeah, just back on tour. That's when we're gonna start, like pretty much in August. I want to do another. I gotta see. That's another thing. Saying you want to do something, you know what I'm saying? You are gonna do something.
Okay.
I am gonna do another comedy album.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah, so that's another thing I had to learn from therapy and stuff like that too. It's like, you say you want to do something, say you are gonna do it. That holds yourself. You gotta hold yourself accountable, and that's really, really big. So that's going to come.
I love it.
In 2022 for sure. So I'm gonna be working on that material all now until next year, and I'm gonna put that out. And I think it's gonna be a pretty dope concept, and it's gonna be different. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, man.
So
that's dope, man. When I'm excited to see everything that's gonna come from your journey, man. You've had a great journey thus far, a great ride, man, and I think, man, this next stage of what you're doing, man, it's gonna be elevation on top of elevation, man. And so I'm excited to see that, man. It's somebody that has a relationship with you, somebody that's known you from back in college, man. To see you now, man, I'm proud of you, bro. Like, I'm excited for everything that's coming for your life, man. And I wish nothing but the best for you, man. And so I'm gonna end it here, man, by just saying, man, if there's anybody out there, man, like what they're struggling with, trying to figure out what it is that they want to do with their life, man. Like, what type of encouragement would you have for them?
Just do it, man. Like, I know that's the Nike slogan, but don't be afraid. Like, don't be afraid to fail. If whatever it is, go for it. And if you take a L, just like that, just builds character. Just go, man. Like
Mm,
that's the. I know that sounds simple. It might even sound cliche. It might sound too easy, but that's the only way I can think of to say it right now. Just do it,
right.
and keep going. Don't
Right.
stop.
Okay.
Like don't just believe in yourself.
Got you. That's dope, man. So for those that like, where can we find you at, man? I know you have your social media channels, man. Shout out your social media channels. Where can people find you at? What platforms you're on, man? I want you to shout out everything. I know you got your stuff on Hulu. You got all, man. Tell us where we can find all things Keenan Baker.
Yeah, Tony Baker and Friends comedy special, man. Please watch that on Amazon Prime. Please
Okay.
watch that. I think we did a really good job. We all of us are funny on there. Social media handles Keenan Baker on Instagram, KEENAN Baker on Instagram, Keenan underscore Baker on Twitter, Facebook Keenan Baker comedy, YouTube Keenan Baker. You'll see me on there.
Okay.
And yeah, follow on all those platforms, man. And some of that's where the freedom is. It's like you follow
Mm-hmm.
those platforms, you download those things. That gives me the freedom to, you get paid off. Those particular some of those sites pay you
Right.
some pretty good money,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point, you could put out more content. You could put out higher quality content. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, and last but not least, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm proud of you, man. I'm just glad to see what you're doing out here, doing your thing. There's a lot of people out here, a lot of people that came up in our class, in our
Mm-hmm.
age group. Some are lost, man,
Facts.
and I hope they can get back on track and get going. And I'm glad that we're on track and we're going.
Yeah, man. Man, thank you so much, man. And so for anybody that's out there, man, that has been struggling, man, take these gems that Keenan has laid down here, man. Find your freedom. Like just go out there and just do. Just go out there and be. And that thing that like makes you come alive, those things that that you should be doing, like go out there and do those things. Like those are the things that are gonna lead to you being the most free and never sacrifice anything for your freedom. And so this is another segment of Identify Your Lane. Thank you so much for your time, Keenan. Until next time, we're out.